So we got to talk about this new poll that came out on CNN in regards to what's going on in the wildfires in California. So they polled a lot of Americans, and when it comes to the wildfire, many Americans are not attributing it to climate change, right? Because we know when it comes to the left, they like to make everything about climate change, right? It's 95 degrees out, it got to be climate change, okay? And we know whenever there's some type of like natural disaster or some event that's going on in the environment, they like to make this big push in terms of climate change, and we know why they do it, right? It's just for them to push their agenda. Okay, and you got a whole bunch of people in government when they want to push a bill, right? When they want to make it so big and they want to find a way to take money, they create this whole thing where we got to create this package for climate change, and we got to do things for EVs, electric vehicles, or whatnot. But we all know it's just a money grab. Okay, and they know they like to use the emotion of the American people and say, all right, we got to push this climate change because climate change is getting out of hand. And it's so bad because you got people in government, the people on the left, where they say, oh, in 5-10 years, we're not even going to have an Earth. And when you say stuff like that, like how are you supposed to take people? How are people supposed to take you serious? But amazingly, there's a lot of people over there, a lot of activists out there that really believe this stuff, right? Because I mean, if I'm gonna put my money on it, I'm gonna put my money like 10 years, Earth will be fine. Okay, and it's not to say that we don't care about the environment. Obviously, everyone does their part when it comes to making sure we have a clean environment. No one wants to live in a dirty place. But when you're trying to push this agenda where you make everything about climate change, so you can just push your agenda, so you can create these bills in government, so you can just steal money from the people, then people get to a point where it's just like, all right, this is clearly a hoax, right? No one believes it, and they try to make you feel bad as if you don't care about the environment. But I think for a lot of people, when it comes to these wildfires, a lot of people are starting to say, like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense, right? It's not like it's some storm that's coming. It's fire, something that happens every year in terms of California. And for a lot of people, they feel like it can be prevented, right? Maybe not 100%, and maybe it can't be stopped, but at least, at the very least, you can mitigate it or at least lessen the damage, right? You have the brush fires or whatnot. You can clean these things up and make sure it doesn't, if there is a fire, that the impact is not as great as it is now. And that's what people are concerned about, especially when you see now reports are saying how you think there people are saying there's arsons out there starting these fires. There are a lot of these fires that happen in California are done, either by accident or in this case, people are doing it intentionally. And these are the things that are being investigated right now. So for a lot of people, it's like a lot of people are not going to take this whole climate change hoax and say, all right, this is due to climate change. People are not falling for that. And CNN, they have a poll where you see CNN, they're just shocked that people aren't falling for the whole climate change hoax. So we're gonna watch this video real quick and hear what they have to say.
I don't think Americans are making this connection. And the way we can see this in right here and now, take a look at the monthly change in Google searches. Look at the searches for wildfire, up 2,400%. My goodness gracious. This is the most amount of people searching for wildfires ever, going back since Google Trends began back in 2004. But look at climate change. Look at the change. It doesn't go hand in hand with wildfires. It's actually down. It's down 9%. And I also looked in California. There has been no increase in the number of searches for climate change. So the bottom line is this. Americans are definitely interested in learning about these wildfires. They're interested in following the news about the wildfires, but they are not making that connection with climate change. That's the bottom line here.
That's a really key metric you're looking at there, the connection. Overall, Americans being worried about climate change, what have we seen over time?
Yeah, we have seen a lot of extreme weather events over the last few decades, right? Hurricanes, heat waves, wildfires. You might expect that Americans worry about climate change with climate change worry a lot. You go back to 1991, it was 35%. Now it was a little bit higher in 2007, a little bit higher in 2022. But look at this, in 2023, the last time we have data, 39%. That is not statistically significantly different from this 35% back in 1991. So despite all these extreme weather events, Americans are really no more worried about climate change than they were, what is that, now nearly 35 years ago? I mean,
and that's the thing, is it's like look at people understand the climate is always changing. Like we understand that, but the thing is, like none of us are God. Like we don't know how, like what's causing this. I know people have their assumptions for what when it comes to CO2 emissions or whatnot, but none of us know the future. Like we understand that it's an issue, and we want to do our best to make sure that we leave this place better than we're off. We want to make sure we leave this place a better place, right? But when you see our government try to push these things when it comes to climate change, it just turns people off, right? Especially if you got people on the right. It's just like, you know what, you're doing too much. You're trying too hard, right? You make it this push for climate change. It doesn't make any sense. And when you try to push this agenda and people go against you, you try to make people feel bad for going against your climate change agenda, right? And when we all know it's just a money grab. Because like I said, you can't control the weather. You don't control what goes on in the environment. You have no idea. It's just the way. It's just nature. That's just what it is. We do our best to make sure that we don't try to pollute the place as much as possible. But look, we can only do so much. But when you have people on the left that try to push this, they're these activists that really come hard at you, and they got people just staying on the street blocking things up. Trying to make it inconvenient for people because they just don't like the way you're not doing it the way they want to do it. It pisses people off, and it doesn't build any trust, and it makes people not want to go against or go with your agenda. So I'm not surprised that the interest for climate change hasn't moved, right? Because like when you have people talking about Earth is not going to be here in 10 years, like how are we supposed to take that serious? All right, people are gonna just continue to live their lives, do their best, do the best they can when it comes to protecting the environment, and see where it goes. All right, so let's let them finish up.
I mean, there's just no real trend line here, Mr. Berman.
So the question is why?
Why? Why are they not really worried a lot about climate change? It might be because they feel like there's not a whole heck of a lot they can do. So climate change, humans contribute a great deal. Wow. Again, there's no real trend line here over the last few years. 2019, 49%, 2020, 49%, 2023, 46%, 2024, 45%. That's actually down 4 points from where we were back in 2019. And so less than a majority of Americans believe that humans contribute a great deal to climate change. So the bottom line is that is a big reason why they don't worry a lot. They just don't feel like they can do anything about it.
So the trend line is going down, even as scientists say that the intensity of these storms and these conditions are getting worse.
Even as the extreme weather goes up, humans are not exactly as worried about climate change as they necessarily once were.
Harriet?
Exactly. It's just like I said, what are we going to do about it? It's like, it's not much we can do. Things are going to happen. I don't control the weather. I don't control the way things go on in Earth. It's just we can only control the things we control, right? When I make sure I try not to litter, right? I try to make sure I'm clean wherever I go. Like I don't make sure I'm trying to pollute the place the way like a lot of people do. But we try to do our best when it comes to making sure we have a clean environment. And when you're trying to push this agenda, a lot of people understand that it's just a money grab, right? You push these this whole EV push, right? They create these huge bills when it comes to electric vehicles, and now look at it. What's going on when it comes to electric vehicles? There's no demand. That we're not even really using it like that, and most people are just not are not even sold on it yet. So it's just not working. We're just not ready for that right now. Maybe sometime in the future, sure. I mean, we eventually want to get there, but when you're trying to push it, you're trying to push it on people. People are just gonna get to a point where it's just like, yo, leave me alone. Okay, I'm doing my best, and when it comes to this environment, there's only so much we can do. Like none of us are God, right? So we can't control these things. So it's good. It's interesting to see how a lot of people aren't, when it comes to these wildfires, people are just using common sense, right? And saying, not everything is about climate change. Maybe it's like a man-made thing when it comes to these wildfires. And I think more people are really starting to trying to at least trying to ask questions about what's going on, especially when these wildfires. So those are my thoughts. Interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure you leave a comment down below, hit the like button, share, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. So you guys take care and have a good one. Later.